Jason Momoa made huge announcement after heartbreaking discovery, and his fans all over the world talking. Behind the scenes of his blockbuster fame, a deeply personal struggle was unfolding, one that forced him to rethink everything about his life, his career, and his future. Today, we're diving into the untold story of what led to the shocking revelation, the heartbreak that changed him forever, and the bold new path he's chosen. Stay with us, because what Jason revealed will surprise you and inspire you. Jason Momoa has always been a larger-than-life figure in Hollywood, towering in both presence and energy. With his rugged charm, infectious personality, and effortless charisma, he's long been seen as the unshakable alpha of the industry. From Aquaman to Game of Thrones, fans never imagined seeing him downcast or withdrawn. But recently, something changed. In a move that left millions stunned, Jason shared a cryptic, emotionally raw message that had nothing to do with film, fame, or fortune. Instead, it hinted at something far deeper, something painful that had clearly rocked him to his core. The post wasn't loud or flashy like his usual updates. There was no wide grin, no wild adventure in the wilderness, just a somber photo of Jason, sitting alone, backlit by the fading sun, with a caption that read, "When the soul is tired, not even the ocean can heal it." Fans immediately took notice. The comments exploded with confusion, concern, and speculation. Was he struggling? Was he saying goodbye to something or someone? It was unlike anything he'd ever shared before. Insiders say the mood shift wasn't just online. In person, Jason has reportedly been more subdued during public appearances, avoiding press, and taking extra time away from projects. His team initially chalked it up to fatigue, citing back-to-back filming schedules. But those close to him say it's more than that. There's been a heaviness about him, an emotional weight that even his trademark smile can't fully hide anymore. Adding to the mystery, he's been noticeably absent from several key industry events. He pulled out of a major convention appearance last minute, offered no public explanation, and his representatives stayed silent. That's not the Jason fans are used to. For a man who once proudly showed up to red carpets in a tank top and flip-flops, unapologetically himself, this new version feels distant. But what really set alarms off was what happened just days after the cryptic post. Jason was spotted traveling alone through small towns in the Pacific Northwest, far from the Hollywood spotlight. No entourage, no cameras, just him, a motorcycle, and a few handwritten notebooks. One fan who saw him said he looked like a man trying to disappear. And maybe that's exactly what he was doing. Of course, everyone's asking, what happened? Why now? And more importantly, what's he trying to tell us? The clues are there. They point to something intensely personal, something that may have forced Jason to look at his life through a painful new lens. It's not just about burnout or bad press. It's about heartbreak, identity, and maybe even loss. And just when fans thought they'd seen it all, Jason Momoa made a sudden, massive announcement that no one saw coming. Behind the muscles, the laughter, and the wild, untamed energy, Jason Momoa has been carrying a weight that most fans never saw coming. While the world saw a thriving movie star, surfing between blockbuster roles and surfing literal waves, he was quietly fighting personal battles that were chipping away at him. And it wasn't just recent. This struggle had been building behind the scenes for years. Despite his larger-than-life image, Jason has always hinted at a deeper, more spiritual side. Raised by a single mother in Iowa and later reconnecting with his Hawaiian roots, his journey wasn't paved with glamour. He fought tooth and nail to make it in Hollywood. And even after hitting it big, he never seemed fully at ease in the spotlight. Fame was a tool, not a trophy. Something he used to support his passions, not something he sought for validation. But as the cameras kept rolling, something began to crack beneath the surface. Insiders say that after the massive success of Aquaman, Jason's life changed dramatically, but not in the way you'd expect. The pressure skyrocketed. Studio executives suddenly saw him as a franchise anchor. Every move became calculated, every word monitored. The free spirit who once rode Harley bikes across deserts with no destination found himself locked into meetings, contracts, and public appearances. Freedom, the thing he craved most, started slipping away, and as that happened, so did his sense of self. Friends close to Jason say he became more reclusive, not in a dramatic way. He didn't vanish overnight, but there were signs, missed calls, long periods of silence, and increasing emotional distance. Some even say he began journaling obsessively, writing pages upon pages late into the night about his growing disconnection from the world around him. And then came the whispers, rumors of a deeply personal discovery that shook him at his core. Something involving his family that left him feeling betrayed, blindsided, or possibly even grieving. The details are still unclear, but those around him say it wasn't just bad news. It was something life-altering, something that changed how he viewed everything. One source claimed that Jason described it as a spiritual punch to the gut. Whatever it was, it forced him to step back and reevaluate not just his career, but his entire life. His team noticed a shift immediately. What used to excite him, scripts, roles, press tours, suddenly felt hollow. The spark was dimming. And when you add an emotional strain from his public split with Lisa Bonet, it's easy to see how all these pressures began to collapse inward. Jason had always carried himself as the Rock, the warrior, the protector. But even warriors break. And when they do, it happens in silence, far from the cameras, far from the cheers. Jason's recent behavior wasn't just about a bad day or a canceled gig. It was the tip of an iceberg, one formed by years of internal struggle and an unexpected heartbreak that no one saw coming. As fans speculated over Jason Momoa's unusual absence and his cryptic messages, whispers began to circulate. Whispers of family crisis that had left the actor emotionally gutted. While Jason has always spoken about the importance of his roots and his love for his family, those closest to him say he recently uncovered something that changed his understanding of where he comes from and who he can trust. According to multiple sources, the heartbreaking discovery Jason hinted at was linked to a deep rift within his family. Though he's always spoken proudly of his Hawaiian heritage and his spiritual connection to his ancestry, something surfaced that left him shattered. Some say it was a betrayal, a hidden secret kept from him for years. Others suggest it was a tragic health revelation involving someone very close to him. Either way, it wasn't just a painful surprise. It was something that forced him to confront his identity in a way he never had before. Jason's relationship with his mother, Connie Lemke, has always been close. She raised him as a single parent, nurturing both his artistic side and his deep spiritual connection to nature. But recently, there have been quiet signs of distance. Jason hasn't publicly acknowledged her in the same way he used to. A source close to the family claimed that Jason discovered something about his past that involved old family decisions, choices made without his knowledge, possibly involving his upbringing or his absent father. Whatever it was, it triggered a wave of emotional fallout that Jason has kept mostly private. Insiders say he's been grieving something that isn't dead. A cryptic phrase that hints at emotional pain tied to family ties that still exist but may be permanently damaged. That pain, combined with the pressure of fame and his recent separation from Lisa Bonet, became a storm he couldn't ignore. It wasn't just sadness. It was soul-deep devastation. This revelation reportedly struck him while he was filming abroad, far from his loved ones. He had no time to process, no one to confide in. Alone in a foreign land, he began to spiral inward. He reportedly started canceling press appearances, avoiding calls, even from those closest to him. His team tried to cover for him, offering vague explanations to the media. But those who saw him firsthand said he looked like a man carrying a grief he couldn't explain. Jason has always described himself as a protector of people, of places, of sacred things. To learn that something sacred to him had been based on a lie, or lost without his knowing, sent him into a tailspin. And while he's tried to maintain his rugged, fearless image, the emotional cracks are now visible. That cryptic post wasn't just emotional. It was a cry for space, for clarity, for healing. What's clear is this. Something happened within Jason's family that left him reeling. And in the wake of that heartbreak, he's making decisions that could change the course of his life forever. When Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet announced their separation in early 2022, the world was stunned. For years, they've been held up as Hollywood's most grounded couple, mystical, artsy, fiercely private, and seemingly unbreakable. But behind the poetic joint statement they released was a storm of emotion that never made it to the public eye. And now, sources close to Jason say that the breakup wasn't just a painful chapter. It was the beginning of an emotional unraveling that continues to haunt him. Jason had idolized Lisa since he was a kid. He openly admitted in interviews that he had been in love with her long before they ever met. When they finally came together, it felt like a dream fulfilled. They'd built a life full of love, creativity, and shared spirituality. But even fairy tales can fracture. The cracks in their relationship, though carefully hidden from the public, had reportedly been forming for years. Those close to the couple say that Jason's rising fame played a huge role. After Aquaman, his life became a whirlwind of press tours, film shoots, and long period away from home. Lisa, known for her quiet lifestyle and deep roots in family and nature, reportedly struggled with the pace of his career. She never chased fame, and insiders say she never felt at home in Jason's increasingly public world. Eventually, the emotional distance became physical. There were also rumors, never confirmed, that differing life goals and worldviews began to push them apart. While Lisa reportedly leaned into her spiritual practice and family time, Jason was being pulled deeper into the chaos of Hollywood. The tension built quietly, but steadily, until it could no longer be ignored. And when they finally announced their separation, Jason was reportedly devastated. Even though the statement painted it as mutual and peaceful, friends say he took it incredibly hard. He moved into a van for a time, parking on a friend's property, and lived minimally, just him and the road. He said he needed space to breathe, but those who saw him during that period said he looked like a man grieving a death. What made it worse was emotional whiplash. One day, he was walking red carpets with the love of his life. The next, he was alone, retreating into silence. He tried to keep up appearances, smiling during interviews, staying active on social media. But fans with a sharp eye noticed a difference. The light in his eyes, duller. The energy, heavier. And then came the waves of regret. Jason reportedly began second-guessing the choices that led to the split. His travel schedule, the roles he took, the way fame consumed his time and energy. He started speaking in interviews about the importance of slowing down, of being present, and of healing the part of ourselves we ignore. Many now see those as subtle acknowledgments of his pain over Lisa. That heartbreak didn't just linger, it changed him. It made him question everything. His career, his path, even his purpose. And it pushed him to make a bold announcement that no one could have predicted. After the emotional storm of his breakup with Lisa Bonet and the family revelations that rocked him, Jason Momoa did something no one expected. He vanished, not in a dramatic, headline-making way. There was no official statement, no, "I need a break" post on Instagram. He just quietly slipped away from the spotlight. One day he was all over social media and interviews. The next, nothing but silence. And for someone as larger-than-life as Jason, that silence felt deafening. At first, fans assumed it was just a short break. After all, even celebrities need time to rest. But as days turned into weeks, concern began to build. Where was Jason Momoa? Why wasn't he promoting his projects? Why did he miss that major convention appearance he was headlining? And why were his closest friends suddenly dodging questions about his whereabouts? Then came the sightings. A few sharp-eyed fans spotted him in unexpected places. Small towns, off-grid retreats, and local diners in rural parts of the Pacific Northwest and Hawaii. Not in flashy cars or celebrity hotspots, but on his motorcycle, dressed down, moving quietly. In one case, a woman in Oregon said she saw him sitting alone at a park, writing in a notebook and looking lost in thought. Another fan in Washington claimed he declined a selfie and gently asked not to be disturbed. That was completely out of character for Jason, who's known for his warm, approachable nature. What fans didn't realize was that Jason wasn't just hiding, he was searching for clarity, for meaning, and maybe even for forgiveness. Sources close to him say he retreated into nature, returning to mountains and oceans that once gave him peace. He spent time at spiritual healing centers, camped out in remote areas, and even visited cultural elders in Hawaii. These weren't just trips, they were pilgrimages. He was trying to reconnect with himself. His team stayed silent, respecting his need for space, but the media couldn't ignore his absence forever. Rumors swirled. Some tabloids irresponsibly suggested substance issues or even mental breakdowns. Others claimed he was quitting acting altogether. But those closest to him say it was simpler than that. Jason wasn't running from something. He was running to something, truth. And during this quiet exile, he made a decision that would change everything. It was in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by trees and silence, that Jason finally decided to speak out, not to promote a film or push a brand, but to tell the world what had really been going on behind the scenes. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the identity crisis, all of it. And when he returned to the public eye, he didn't come back with a blockbuster trailer or a red carpet debut. He came back with a message, raw, honest, and completely unexpected. After months of vanishing from the spotlight, Jason Momoa finally reemerged, but not in the way fans expected. There were no flashy PR campaigns, no exclusive interviews on late-night shows. Instead, Jason broke his silence in the most personal and unexpected way through a raw, self-filmed video posted quietly on his social media. No dramatic lighting, no production crew, just him, his phone, and a heavy truth he could no longer carry in silence. The video started simply. Jason sitting in what appeared to be a remote cabin, his long hair tied back, face weathered and tired, but calm. His voice was soft, almost cracking, and then he dropped the words that made headlines everywhere. "I've been lost." What followed was one of the most vulnerable moments fans had ever seen from him. He spoke not as a movie star, but as a man at a crossroads. He admitted to struggling with identity, grief, and overwhelming emotional weight. He hinted at a personal betrayal that shook him to his core and confirmed that the end of his marriage with Lisa Bonet had left him spiritually broken. He didn't point fingers or try to assign blame. Instead, he took responsibility for the parts of himself he had neglected, for the ways fame pulled him away from what truly mattered, and for ignoring his own needs for far too long. He described feeling like he had become someone I didn't recognize, lost in the noise of fame and the chaos of expectations. Then came the part that truly stunned everyone. Jason announced that he was stepping back, not just from Hollywood, but from everything. "I'm done chasing," he said. Done chasing roles, fame, money, and validation. He explained that he had turned down multiple high-profile offers in the past year, including 2 major franchise deals, because his heart simply wasn't in it anymore. "I need to live a real life again," he said. "Not one written for me." The reaction was immediate. Fans flooded the comments with support, while news outlets scrambled to cover the story. But this wasn't about hype, it was about truth. For the first time in a long while, Jason wasn't playing character. He was just a man trying to heal. He ended the video by saying he was going off-grid for a while, to spend time with his children, reconnect with nature, and focus on creating, not for studios, but for himself. "I want to tell stories that heal," he said, "not just entertain." The video was barely 5 minutes long, but its impact was massive. People weren't just moved, they were shaken. This wasn't the Aquaman they knew. This was Jason Momoa, raw and real, speaking from a place of pain but also hope. After Jason Momoa broke his silence with that raw and emotional message, fans were left wondering what he would do next. Was this the end of his Hollywood journey? Was he walking away from the industry entirely? But just when people thought he might disappear for good, Jason surprised everyone again. This time, not with another confession, but with a bold new mission that no one saw coming. Jason revealed he's been quietly working on a personal project, something far from the blockbuster sets of Aquaman or Fast X. It's a deeply personal documentary series, one that he's not just starring in, but directing, producing, and writing. The subject? Healing. Not just his own, but the kind that the world desperately needs. Titled The Path Back, the series follows Jason as he travels across remote regions of the world, Hawaii, New Zealand, parts of the Amazon, even indigenous communities in Alaska, seeking out elders, shamans, and spiritual leaders who carry ancient knowledge about emotional and spiritual healing. It's a raw, real journey that blends his love for nature, culture, and soul-searching a way that feels nothing like mainstream Hollywood. This isn't a reality show or a vanity project. It's something else entirely, a spiritual quest turned visual story. Jason explained in a recent post that the heartbreak he experienced with his family, Lisa Bonet, and even within himself became the driving force behind the idea. "I had to go through the darkest parts of myself to understand why I was hurting," he said. "Now I want to help others do the same." His fans, already deeply loyal, have rallied around the idea. The anticipation for the path back has exploded, not because it promises drama or celebrity cameos, but because it offers something rare in Hollywood: authenticity. The trailer, which quietly dropped online, is haunting and beautiful. Shots of Jason walking barefoot through ancient forests, cry in the presence of tribal elders, and sitting silently at the edge of a volcano reveal a man who's no longer performing, but transforming. But that's not all. Jason also announced he's launching a foundation alongside the series. It will focus on mental health support for men, especially those in indigenous and underserved communities. The mission? To create safe spaces for men to express emotion, confront trauma, and heal without shame. "We've been told to be strong, to be warriors," Jason said in a speech at a small event. "But the real strength is facing your pain and letting it teach you." This new path may not lead to red carpets or record-breaking box office numbers, but Jason doesn't seem to care. In fact, that's the point. He's no longer trying to be the biggest star in the room. Now, he wants to be the most honest. And as the buzz around the path back continues to grow, many believe this could be the most meaningful project of his entire career. While the world focused on Jason Momoa's career choices and emotional struggles, something even more important was happening quietly behind the scenes: a deeply personal reconnection with his children. And according to those closest to him, this reunion wasn't just healing, it was transformative. Jason has always been a devoted father. His children with Lisa Bonet, Lola, and Nako Wolf have been the light of his life. Even during the peak of his fame, he was known for rearranging shooting schedules and flying across continents just to be there for birthdays, school events, and quiet family dinners. But after the separation from Lisa, that closeness was tested like never before. In the months following the breakup, Jason reportedly felt a growing distance, not just emotionally, but physically. Co-parenting in the public eye is never easy, especially when the entire world is speculating about your personal life. But Jason was determined not to let fame, grief, or heartbreak come between him and his kids. So when he finally returned from his spiritual journey, the first thing he did was make time, real, uninterrupted time, with Lola and Nako Wolf. Sources say he went completely offline for several weeks, taking his kids on a private road trip through the Pacific coast, visiting sacred cultural sites, national parks, and hidden nature trails. No cameras, no social media, just dad and his kids rediscovering their bond. One insider described it as the first time Jason truly smiled in months. The kids reportedly brought out his playful side again, the loud laughter, the goofy energy, the joy. But more than that, they reminded him of who he really was underneath the fame: a father, a protector, a man trying to live with purpose. In a rare interview, Jason later reflected on that time, saying, "I thought I was losing everything, but when I looked at my kids, I realized I still had everything that mattered." The reunion also had an unexpected impact. It inspired the next phase of Jason's mission. Seeing the world through his children's eyes gave him clarity about what kind of legacy he wanted to leave behind. It wasn't about being a movie star anymore. It was about being someone his kids could be proud of, not for what he did on screen, but for who he was when the cameras stopped rolling. This led Jason to double down on the Path Back series and his mental health foundation. He even brought his kids into the creative process, asking them for input, including their voices and narrative, and making sure the message of the project was one they could understand and believe in. And it worked. That emotional turning point, the reunion with his children, grounded him. It gave him not just a reason to keep going, but a reason to do it differently. Until now, Jason Momoa had kept the deeper reasons behind his split with Lisa Bonet tightly guarded. The world saw the headlines about irreconcilable differences and growing apart, but those close to the couple knew there was more beneath the surface. And while Jason never publicly confirmed all the details, quiet whispers and off-the-record conversations revealed a truth far more heartbreaking, and possibly a deep betrayal that changed everything. For years, Jason and Lisa were the couple everyone admired. Their connection seemed unshakable, soulful, grounded, spiritual. But behind the scenes, tension had been brewing. Insiders say that as Jason's fame skyrocketed, especially after Aquaman, the couple started drifting, not because of ego, but because of misaligned priorities. Jason was constantly traveling, filming, and taking on grueling roles. Lisa, a fiercely private person, reportedly became increasingly uncomfortable with a Hollywood lifestyle creeping into their home. The turning point? A long stretch of time when Jason was overseas working on multiple projects back-to-back, including his commitments to Dune and Sea. According to people close to the situation, communication broke down. The distance wasn't just physical, it was emotional. And into that silence, something else allegedly crept in, a growing connection between Lisa and someone from her past. That's where the rumors started. Several reports surfaced suggesting Lisa had rekindled a close friendship with an ex, someone she had once been deeply connected to long before Jason. While there was no public scandal and no confirmations of infidelity, insiders say Jason felt blindsided. The emotional bond they had built over nearly 2 decades suddenly felt fractured. One friend revealed, it wasn't that she did something wrong. It was that she found comfort somewhere else when Jason needed her most, and that hurt him in a way he wasn't ready to face. Jason, known for his intense loyalty and emotional depth, reportedly took the perceived betrayal very hard. Those close to him said he spiraled into a deep period of reflection, questioning everything: his worth, his role in the relationship, and even his identity as a partner and father. What made it worse? He kept it all to himself. Rather than publicly lash out or air grievances in the media, Jason chose silence. That silence, however, spoke volumes. Fans began to notice a shift in his public demeanor, less joyful, more withdrawn. And it was during this period that he began his spiritual journey, looking not for revenge or answers, but for peace. Whether or not the betrayal was ever fully confirmed doesn't seem to matter anymore. What's clear is that it triggered a deep unraveling, one that forced Jason to confront his pain head-on. And out of that heartbreak, something powerful was born: a new purpose, a stronger sense of self, and a mission to use a story to help others heal from their own hidden wounds. Jason Momoa's journey from heartbreak to healing didn't just change him, it reshaped what legacy means for him. In a world obsessed with fame and box office numbers, Jason is charting a different path, one focused on authenticity, emotional courage, and giving back. After confronting his deepest pain, Jason made it clear that Hollywood roles and blockbuster fame were no longer his ultimate goals. Instead, he wants to be remembered for something far bigger: a man who dared to be vulnerable, who showed the world that even the strongest among us can fall and then rise. His documentary series, The Path Back, is more than just a project. It's a movement, inviting viewers to rethink strength and healing. Through intimate conversations with healers, elders, and people overcoming their own darkness, Jason's story connects with anyone who has faced loss, betrayal, or a crisis of identity. But the impact doesn't stop there. The Mental Health Foundation he launched alongside the series is breaking new ground. By focusing on men's emotional wellness, especially in communities where vulnerability is often stigmatized, Jason is creating safe spaces for healing that didn't exist before. It's a legacy rooted in compassion, not celebrity. Jason's transformation also ripples into his personal life. His renewed bond with his children stands as proof that healing is possible, even after the toughest storms. And his public honesty is inspiring fans and fellow celebrities alike to be more open about their own struggles. In interviews, Jason has said he's no longer interested in chasing external validation. "I want to build something real," he explained. "Something that lasts beyond the screen." That shift has led to unexpected collaborations with indigenous communities, mental health advocates, and artists who share his vision. Together, they're creating a platform that blends storytelling, healing, and cultural respect. In a world where celebrity stories often end with scandals or comebacks, Jason Momoa's story is different. It's a story of reckoning, transformation, and hope. A reminder that sometimes the biggest announcements don't come from award shows or blockbuster trailers, but from the quiet, courageous decisions made in the shadows. As fans watch Jason take this new direction, one thing is clear: His journey is far from over, and the announcement he made after his heartbreaking discovery isn't just about him. It's about all of us finding our own path back. Jason Momoa's journey from heartbreak to hope reminds us all that even the strongest among us face struggles, and that true strength comes from facing them head-on. If you found this story as powerful as we did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of your favorite stars. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.